Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Today's video is for Scrap and Stamp Canada for the October blog hop, and it's all about gnomes this month. This great stamp set that I have today is from Crafter's Companion, and it's called Nature's Garden. And I really like this set as it comes with not only the stamp set, it comes with coordinating dies and a little stencil here for you to use on the little gnome's outfit, which is great. So let's get started. I have an idea of what I want to do. So let's see what we can create. I have gone ahead and cut out some pieces, as well as I have colored my little gnome with Copic colors. And what should we do first? I do want to try out this stencil. So I've stamped my little image with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. That's the standard ink that I use for Copic coloring. And then I just used some really simple Copic coloring. I'm not going to tell you guys the colors. You can use whatever colors you like. So let's start with maybe just trying to do the stencil on top, and then we'll get into making the card. Okay. I do want to use a little bit of purple tape just to put my stencil in place. And I think I want to use the little hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and line those hearts up. Now this should be fairly simple. It looks like it should line up fairly easily. It should, but it kind of is still overlapping in some areas. And I'm not sure. It's overlapping in the hair and the bow here. It should be a little easier to line up, I think. We'll try and get it as straight as we can. Okay, so my first impression is I love the stamp set. Love that there's coordinating dies. But this stencil is not my favorite. It's not lining up very easily. It's very fiddly. So let's see. Yeah, no matter how I line it up, it's going to be having some overlapping of some of the image where it shouldn't. So I've got the hat lined up fairly good, but it's still kind of overlapping on the hair and the bow, and a little bit on the shoe. Well, let's just go with it. We won't fiddle around too much. I am going to be using the Brilliance Pigment ink in the Moonlight White to add those little hearts over top. I thought that would be kind of nice, just to add a little bit of white over top. And I'm just going to use a finger dauber just to pounce that onto the stencil. Go ahead and add that. Now, I think if I did this again, I don't know if it's user error, guys, or if it's actually the stencil itself, but I'm not 100% happy with how it lines up. But that's okay, we're gonna make it work. Alright, I think we've got enough added. Let's go ahead and remove our stencil and see how we did. Alright, hopefully you guys can see that. So you can see the little hearts on there. I don't like how they don't line up 100% with the little brim of the hat, but that's okay, we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna set that aside to dry, and we'll move on with the actual building of the card base. Okay, so the idea that I had for this card base is I want to use a non-traditional color of card base. I'm going to be using some red cardstock. I have some patterned cardstock here, and this is from, it's just what I had in my stash. This is from Doodlebug, and it's Christmas Magic, and it's double-sided, so I just have this pattern on one side and then the polka dots on the other. Super cute paper. I honestly can't remember where I got this from, but if it's over at the Scrap and Stamp store, I'll link to it there. So I've gone ahead and used the My Favorite Things A2 rectangle stack dies, and I cut out the pattern piece and just a plain white piece, and those are the same size. And then I cut out one smaller in just the white cardstock, and I'm going to be layering these two together, and this is going to go on the inside of our card to write our sentiment. So what I want to do is, let's score our card, and it'll be a standard A2 size card. So that means we are scoring at, this should be 5.5, and we're going to score at 4.25. So I'll just grab my bone folder. Right, I'll quickly fold this up and press the edge down nicely. I'm just going to use my bone folder just to give it a good crease. Then what I want to do is I actually want to trim the front of this card off. I want to create just a little bit of a different element. And so 4.5 by divided by 2 is 2 1/8. So there's 2, 2.5, 2 1/4, 2 1/8 right there. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that little piece off. So what that does is it creates a short flap on the front of our card. Okay, the next thing I want to do is bring in this larger white rectangle that we die cut out. Again, I die cut that off screen with my Gemini Junior just to save some time. And I am going to kind of line that up and glue this down. And I am going to use my art glitter glue for that. So we'll just kind of make it center. So just adding the glue. Uh-oh, is it all clogged up? There we go. Just adding the glue on the right hand portion here, and I think I do have a clog. That's unfortunately one of the things about this art glitter glue is it's such a fine tip nozzle, which is fantastic because I like having that precision tip, but it gets clogged. I really need to just give it a good wash out and it'll be fine. I've just been not really, I guess, cleaning it off well enough every time I use it. So we'll just add the glue there. And I'll just eyeball, trying to make this centered on that card front there. And then we'll just burnish this down. The next thing I want to do is add in, I did that wrong, you guys. That's not what I wanted to do. Ah! Okay, that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. We just have to persevere through them. Okay, that's okay. So now I know where to put my glue. I wanted the pattern piece. Oh, see, this is what happens when you craft too late at night. You get tired and you make mistakes. That's okay. Just gonna put my pin in my glue right away. Got all excited there. So I'm going to bring in this pattern piece, you guys. That's what I want to do. Which way do I want it? Let's do it this way. Line that up there. That's better. Goodness gracious. This is a how not to video instead of a how to video. Okay, so we've got that down. Problem solved. And now we kind of have this really neat flap, and then we've got some pattern paper on the back. And then what I want to do is to glue, not that piece, I want to glue this piece down on the inside so that we can write our sentiment. So what I'm going to do is just line this up with the front piece like this, and it'll kind of be hidden behind that front panel that we create. I'm going to bring my glue back and then just apply the glue to this rectangle piece. Get it. We'll make sure it's lined up again because we kind of want it hidden back there. Okay, once I have that lined up nicely, hopefully you can see that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply fold over our card back onto it and press it down. Okay, so then that covers where we can write on the card. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in, let's see, what do I want to do? You know what I'm going to do next is, because I haven't really figured out my sentiment yet, now that this pigment ink should be dry on here, yeah, it's nice and dry, and let me put this closure on my art glitter glue so it doesn't clog up on us again, and it might be too late. Boy oh boy, I'm the fumbling crafter today. Get that in there. So let's go ahead and grab the coordinating dies for this, and we'll grab the little gnome die and we'll line it up. And I want to grab my purple tape again and just use that to hold that in place. Grab my die plates. So this is kind of the sandwich I have. I have a white or a clear plate. Then I have a piece of kind of chipboard underneath that, underneath the magnetic little piece here. This is kind of how I find that the sandwich works best for me. And lay that over top. I'm going to put my other clear plate and then this shim over top, and then I'll run that through my die cutting machine. You can use whatever die cutting machine you have. If you have like the Spellbinders Platinum or the Sizzix one works well. Whatever works for you, and you can also fussy cut them out as well. Pull that off. And there we have our cute little gnome all ready to go. Let's get rid of these die plates. And just so I don't lose my die, I'm going to pop it right back on here. I love all the elements that you get with this. This is a cute little border piece. You got a couple different sentiments you can use. This looks like a little mixing bowl. A little star ornament. You have a little heart patch that you could probably put on her dress. So yeah, lots that you can do with this. So I've got that die cut out. Let's see what we can use for the sentiment. Maybe what we'll do is we will have our sentiment on the inside of the card. Let's try that. Let's see how that looks. I think the next time I do this card, what I might want to do is use a stitched die element just to add a little bit of interest. I think I might go back with my pen and add that. But for now, we'll just do it this way. So yeah, let's go ahead and adhere down. Let's actually use some foam tape. And that will just add a little bit of dimension to the back, or sorry, to the front of this card. So I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of the little gnome. We'll go ahead and glue down. As you can see, I recycle my cardstock pieces. Okay, we'll get this centered on to this rectangle. There we go. And again, like I said, I wanted to add a little bit more of interest, like I would have used maybe a stitch die. So I'm going to grab a black pen. And let's see. Let's just go ahead and add some faux stitching. Just on the edges of this white cardstock piece. So there's always ways that you can overcome obstacles in your card making. Even when you make mistakes, or when something seems like a great idea in your head and it's just not turning out the way that you want, you can always fix it. You guys will have to let me know if that happens to you, where you've got something going on in your head but it's just not quite transferring out into the finished project. What do you do? How do you overcome that? Alright, so there, that adds just a little bit more interest to that panel piece there. And then we can add our little gnome on top. There we go. And I'm not sure, could always add some sequins around here if we wanted, just to jazz it up. I think that looks okay. So for inside sentiment, let's use, kind of have a little bit of limited room with the size of our card piece here. Oh, this is just going to fit. This one says Merry Christmas from our gnome to yours. And I think that'll just fit in there. Let me grab my stamp platform. I'll just pop that in. Suppose I should have done this before adding the gnome, but that's okay. And I wonder, just thinking as I go here, is this going to be too long? Yeah, it's a little too long. I thought maybe we could stamp. I mean, technically we could. I just have to mask off the sides here. We could stamp it there and there, and then have our sentiment. Otherwise, could do that and then have like that. So we could, yeah, we could also have that little border going down the side and this saying, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Then the other sentiment says a little Christmas wish. I think I'm going to go with the first one that I had. So I'll line that up. Try and get it straight. And I'm going to grab my favorite sentiment ink. And that's the Versa Fine Clair Nocturne ink that I like to use. And this is the first time I'm using this stamp, so I want to ink it up really well. Go ahead and press that into place. Again, giving time for that ink to soak into the cardstock. There we go, that turned out really well. I like that. So there we go, we have our quick gnome little card for today. Merry Christmas from our gnome to yours. I think that is so much fun. So thanks so much for joining me for today's quick card with Scrap and Stamp Canada. I will link down below the blog hop where you can head over and check out the other fantastic gnome creations by our amazing design team members from Scrap and Stamp. Thanks so much again for joining me, guys, and take care of yourselves. I just want to thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're looking for specific materials that I've used in today's video, go ahead and check out the links down below. As well, I'd really love it if you sent me some snail mail. I'm always interested to know what you guys have been up to and what you've been creating, and I'd love to share your cards on my next video. Thanks so much again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. P.S. I love you.